Hey, let me ask you something right off the bat. When was the last time you heard Michael Irvin speak this fired up about a Cowboys team in early June? I mean, really think about it. The guy isn't just hyping the squad like usual. He's seeing something, and not just talent. He's talking about culture, accountability, a shift that's got him walking out of practice grinning from ear to ear like he just saw the 90s dynasty reborn. That's not your everyday OTA buzz. Now I get it. You've probably been burned before by all the off-season talk. Every June we hear, "This is our year," and then by December we're scratching our heads wondering what happened. But Irvin's message isn't just about potential. It's about how this team is moving. He said the league is sleeping on the Cowboys, and while they're sleeping, we're going to be creeping. Quiet, focused, dangerous. That's a whole different vibe, and it's something we, as fans, have been waiting on for years. And you know what else stood out? He wasn't just hyped about the players. He was hyped because he saw something he needed to see. That's important, because let's be honest, Irvin doesn't hold back when he thinks something's off. And in the past, he's called the Cowboys out when they were playing soft or disconnected. But this time, he sees unity. I want to throw this to you. Do you think this year actually feels different? Or are we falling into the same trap again? Be honest. Drop it in the comments. Let's see where the fan base really stands. Also, quick vote. Do you believe this Cowboys team has better leadership today than they did under Mike McCarthy? Vote yes or no in the poll. Because if Irvin's energy is any clue, something is shifting in that locker room. And up next, we're diving into why that shift may have everything to do with Brian Shottenheimer. Stay with me. So let's talk about the man who might be the biggest reason behind this new energy, Brian Shottenheimer. Yeah, I know. He's not the flashiest name in the building. He's not calling plays on Sundays, but don't let that fool you. His influence? It's everywhere. From everything coming out of OTAs, Shottenheimer is fully in control of the offensive identity. And I'm not just talking about X's and O's, I'm talking about tone, discipline, execution. You know that old school, no-nonsense football DNA? That's what he's pumping into this team. You heard what he said recently, right? He made it very clear that this offense isn't going to be about gimmicks or fluff. It's going to be about physicality, protecting the quarterback, and doing the dirty work in the trenches. That's music to the ears of Cowboys fans who've been screaming for toughness and consistency, especially in big games. And don't forget, players are already saying the meetings feel different. Dak looks sharper. The receivers are being held accountable. The playbook is trimmed down, but the expectations are cranked up. That's a classic Shottenheimer move. Keep it simple. Demand perfection. Let me throw this to you. Do you actually feel more confident with Shottenheimer setting the tone than you ever did with Kellen Moore running the show? Think back. Think about the situational awareness, the red zone play calling, the discipline. Let me know in the comments, Shotty or Kellen, who would you rather trust in January? And here's a poll for you. Should the Cowboys hand more power to Brian Shottenheimer moving forward, or is this still Dak's and McCarthy's team to steer, vote, and let your voice be heard? Because whether you've noticed it or not, the Shottenheimer effect is real, and if Irvin's fired up, it's because Shotty has this group laser-focused. Now let's shift gears and talk about a guy who's thriving under this new tone, Trey Lance. Because what's happening with him might surprise you. All right, let's dive into something that might catch you off guard. Trey Lance is quietly becoming one of the biggest stories at Cowboys OTAs. And no, I'm not just throwing out hype. This is coming from people who are actually watching the practices. The former top 3 pick, he's showing serious signs of growth. Now I know what you're thinking. He's the QB3, calm down. But hear me out. Reports are saying Lance is looking confident, decisive, and most importantly, he's processing the field way faster than before. That was his biggest knock in San Francisco. He had all the tools, but couldn't make the reads quick enough. That's changing, and you want to know why? It circles back to Brian Shottenheimer again. Word is, Shotty and Lance have been spending extra time going over tape, footwork, and timing. The fundamentals. Stuff that got glossed over during the chaos in San Francisco. And for the first time, it feels like Trey is getting true developmental attention without pressure. Now here's the kicker. Some insiders are even whispering that Lance is pushing Cooper Rush for that QB2 job. I'm not saying there's a competition yet, but I am saying this. Coaching staff is watching closely, and if Lance keeps stacking good days, don't be surprised if he leapfrogs Rush by training camp. So here's the question for you. Would you feel good about Lance stepping in if Dak had to miss a game or two? Or are you still riding with Cooper Rush as the more dependable option? Drop your take in the comments. I want to know who you're backing as QB2. Let's run a poll too. Who should be the backup this season? Cooper Rush or Trey Lance? And think about this. What if Lance keeps rising and makes Rush expendable? Could that open the door for a trade? We'll get into that a little later, but up next, we've got to talk about the culture shift happening inside the Star. Because it's not just the players changing, it's the whole vibe of the building. You've probably noticed something different lately. And no, it's not just the roster turnover or flashy OTA clips. I'm talking about a real change in energy, something deeper. There's a culture shift happening inside. The Star in Frisco. Let's rewind a bit. For years, the Cowboys have been known more for drama than discipline. Talented roster? Absolutely. But a team identity? That's where things always felt shaky. Fast forward to this offseason, and you've got Brian Shottenheimer running the offense with purpose, Mike Zimmer demanding accountability on defense, and players speaking like they've got something to prove. You're hearing words like toughness, urgency, execution, words that mean something when they're backed by action. Multiple reporters have said these OTAs feel crisper and more focused than in recent years. And that's not just fluff. It's showing up in how guys are practicing, communicating, and even carrying themselves. One example? Wide receiver room. With Brandon Cook stepping up as a vocal leader, you've got a real veteran presence in there holding people accountable. No more coasting. Even younger guys like Jalen Tolbert are responding, looking sharper and more confident. Same goes on defense. Micah Parsons is taking more command, not just making plays, but leading by example. You can tell this is personal for him. He's tired of coming close. He wants a ring. So here's my question to you. Do you believe this culture shift is real, or is it just another off-season illusion we've seen too many times before? Drop a comment, and let me throw out a vote. Do you think the Cowboys' locker room is finally becoming more player-led and focused, or is it still Jerry Circus? Behind the scenes? Because if this shift is legit, it could be the missing piece we've needed all along. Talent has never been the issue. Maybe now the mindset is catching up. But hold that thought, because in our final chapter, we've got to talk about something bigger. The impact all of this could have on Dak Prescott's future with the Cowboys. And believe me, it's not as simple as it seems. All right, let's talk about the quarterback. With all the moves we've seen, the additions, the tryouts, the quiet veteran cuts, and especially the shift in culture, there's one name that always ends up back in the spotlight: Dak Prescott. Here's the deal. Dak's entering a contract year. No extension, no guarantees, just pressure. And a front office that seems to be sending a clear message: show us. They're not saying it out loud, but actions speak volumes. The Cowboys could have extended Dak this offseason and lowered his cap hit significantly. Instead, they let it ride. Why? Because they want to see if this version of Dak can lead this retooled roster all the way, or if they need to consider turning the page. Now let's not twist it. Dak's still QB1. There's no real competition in camp, but the vibe is different this year. The leash feels shorter. The expectations? Higher than ever. With Shottenheimer fully in charge of the offense, the Cowboys are asking Dak to be efficient, decisive, and less mistake-prone, especially in the red zone and postseason moments that have haunted him before. And behind him, quietly, the Cowboys are stacking options. They're looking at young arms, testing receivers and structuring this team in a way that doesn't put it all on the quarterback anymore. That's smart team building, but it also sends a message. So let's put it to you directly. Do you think this is Dak's final year in Dallas if he doesn't make a deep playoff run? Cast your vote. 1. Yes, no excuses. Time to move on if he can't deliver. 2. No, he's still the best option we've got. Run it back. And sound off in the comments with your thoughts, because this might be the biggest storyline of the entire 2025 season. We've seen the changes, the quiet cuts, the leadership shifts, the front office doubling down on accountability. Now it's Dak's turn to respond. Because the Cowboys? They're moving forward with or without him.